Hey friend, welcome to today's video. We are going to talk about how you can scale your advertising business quickly. My name is Sarah May Ives and I have a successful advertising business, and I'm also really passionate about training women on how to start their own successful advertising businesses as well. So if you want to see the 7 steps that I took to start my highly successful advertising business, I would invite you to download my free guide, which I will link in the description below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to talk about a topic that I'm really excited about, which is now you've got this advertising business, how do you scale it? Meaning, how do you get more clients, more impact, more revenue? When I started my advertising business, I did it for a long time just as a solopreneur, and that suited my lifestyle. I basically did everything. I did the sales calls to get the clients. I met with the onboarding sessions for the client. I built the funnel pages that we needed. I built all the campaigns. I did the copywriting. I did everything. And I was highly successful at this. In a very short amount of time, within my first year, I got up to 14 clients. And that kind of happened by accident too, because the way that I got clients is I ran my own ads. What would sometimes happen is I'd run my ads for 2 weeks. I'd get 20 sales calls booked. Then 1 or 2 people would say yes to working with me. I would turn off my ads. And then what happened in October of that first year of my business is a bunch of people came back to me like 2, 3, 4 weeks later after the fact and said, okay, Sarah, I'm now ready to move forward. I was like, holy cow, I got a lot of work on my hands. At that time, I decided to hire my first assistant because I knew with 14 clients, I would definitely need some help. In an advertising business, I have found that I could healthily and quite easily, I was busy, but I could handle 9 to 10 clients exclusively on my own. That's working full-time hours. So I basically worked Monday to Friday while the kids were at school to complete those deliverables and to make sure that my clients were still happy and pleased with their service. Now, when I went beyond the 10 clients, I started to hire my first person, and I hired someone as an assistant to help me with the ads. So what I have found, let's talk about your ads business and the components that you can outsource. So there are a few different components to the ads business. Number 1, you need to do sales calls, right? To get clients, to identify if you want to work with them, if you can help them, you need to do sales calls. So that's a big component of where you're going to spend your time, especially when you're in the client acquisition phase. Say a client gives you their notice and they're moving on, you need to find another client to replace them. So you do a fair amount of stuff on the phone to get clients. Now, secondly, you do ads management. Obviously, we're checking the ads every day. We're sending our tracking reports on Friday, and we're just basically keeping on top of all the data and metrics so that we can best serve our clients and make sure that they're having success. So the ads manager work is something that can also be outsourced. Now, the third part, or the third thing that can be outsourced, the thing that will take a lot of time in your business, is also writing. So in advertising, of course, a big component of successfully advertising is copywriting. And as much as I love copywriting, and I am a copywriter and passionate about writing and speaking in a way that inspires people, I also identify that it takes a really long time to do copywriting well. So that's another key component of your business that if you're finding it's taking a lot of time, you can outsource that too. Now, one of the more, I don't want to say final components, but another thing that you can outsource is also the tech integration. So if your clients need what are called funnel builds, so some clients come to us and they're ready to run ads right away. They've got a team in place, they're building their funnels, and that's fine. Now, there are other clients who come to us who they don't have any assets created. They've maybe got a basic website, but they're going to need a funnel and they're going to need emails written, tech integrations, etc. So in that case, you would be able to outsource the funnel building stuff. So those are really the 4 key areas that you can outsource as well. And once you get up to a certain number of staff, you can even hire people to help you manage your team, but that's really far down the road and may not be something that you want to do right now. Like, I highly wouldn't recommend it. So let's talk about those 4 key components. So the sales calls, the ads management, the copywriting, and the tech and integrations. Those are really the 4 key areas that I recommend you look at for outsourcing. Now, number 1, outsourcing sales calls can be extremely hard if you're not already a successful closer yourself. Because when it comes to outsourcing sales calls, you need to train your salespeople to know your brand, know your philosophy, know the strategy. And I have never found from an agency perspective that it was worth my time to really train someone for the sales, especially as I was growing my business from 10 clients to 15 clients. I didn't spend so much time on the phone that it would have been worthwhile for me to train a salesperson. Aside from that, it's taken me years to get to a place where I have systems and processes in place to ensure that people care about my business as much as I do. And quite truthfully, as a business owner, nobody on the planet cares more about my business than I do. I have felt that, especially for my agency, I was always the right person to do the sales calls, even though I sometimes had a little bit of a love-hate relationship with the sales calls, but it was absolutely me who was supposed to be on the phone with people. I would say it doesn't mean that you can never outsource sales. Obviously, I'm at a point in my business now where my company takes sales calls every day of the week. So I absolutely have 3 salespeople on my team right now that help me. That being said, it's taken me a while to get there and train them and get the systems and processes in place to make them feel excited, motivated, bought in, and a structure in place where I can really help to coach them. Training a sales team, what I'm trying to say, is not necessarily a super simple process. So I would recommend that you outsource your sales very last. First, I want to talk to you about one of the easiest components to outsource, which is the writing. Now, you might want to outsource the writing because you don't like it. A lot of people don't like writing. Now, a lot of you will like writing, but you'll be like me and you'll notice like, heck, it takes a lot of time. And how much time could I save if I wasn't creating these emails, writing these ads? What I would recommend you do is find a copywriter who specializes in writing ads and writing emails. And if you need any names, of course, just write to me. I've got a bunch of contacts that I can send your way, and paying them on a piece by piece basis. So you can typically buy a Facebook ad for $50. You can typically purchase an email sequence for $100 an email. There are pretty simple and easy ways to outsource the writing, and it can save you a ton of time. It will be easier if you do find a copywriter that you kind of jive with, because then that person will get even more efficient at writing stuff for you and your clients, because they'll kind of know your angle and they'll know the type of person you work with. Now, another thing that you can outsource is the ads management. What I recommend initially as you're growing your agency is to pay a white labeler. So a white labeler is someone that you will pay as a consultant, and you'll pay them a set fee to manage the ad account of each client that you have. So you can pay white labelers anywhere from, $500 to $1,000 per month to manage an account. Now, don't forget, you're likely already getting at least $1,500 to $2,000 per month per client. So for you to pay this person $750 a month to manage the ad campaigns, you'll still make a very good profit on the project overall. So when it comes to white labeling, I do recommend you white label versus hire a staff member. If you're really dedicated to growth and scaling, you could consider hiring a full-time staff member, especially someone that's a bit more junior that you can train from the bottom up. But you should know that from a company perspective, it's absolutely more responsibility to train a staff member, to be paying benefits, to have them on payroll, and then there's more commitments if they were to quit, or if you needed to fire them, you may have to pay them severance, depending on the kind of laws where you are. But where I am, you do. There are definitely more responsibility about, with having a staff person, even just the pressure to have this many clients. So I highly recommend, as you're scaling your agency, consider using a white labeler in the beginning, someone that will manage account by account, and that's really going to help you save time in your business. Again, if you need a white labeler, send me a comment or send me an email and I'll connect you with the right people. That's what I highly recommend you do as well to save time, and this is going to give you more time to get onto sales calls, to get more clients so you can scale your agency. So we've talked about copywriting and outsourcing the ads management. Another important consideration is I would really ask you to identify, what do you not like doing so much? What would you love to have off of your plate? That's a good way to figure out what you want to outsource first. You can outsource the ads management, the copywriting, and then the last thing that I talked about was the tech integrations as well. So there are many white labelers who will set up a funnel for $500 with all the tech integrations, and that can sometimes save you a lot of time as you're initially onboarding clients and working with them to build your funnel. And once you get your team in place, you're going to notice that you have so much more time to show up for those sales calls and to scale the number of clients you have. You may also be wondering a practical question about how many people can one white labeler handle. I have found the max that I like to give to one person is 8 accounts. So if I'm working with a white labeler and I'm paying them a set fee for each account, I have found the sweet spot to be about 6 to 8 accounts per person. Here's the thing, you also want to make sure that you have a little bit of diversity in terms of support, because if your white labelers to give you notice that they won't be able to, help you the month after, you don't want to be slammed with 8 accounts. So that's why I do also recommend that you make sure that you're using a different people, essentially. Not that you don't want to support people, but potentially give 5 accounts to one person and then 5 accounts to another person, because then you'll know that you're not going to be totally lost if you need to find someone else in a hurry. So I hope that this video has got you thinking about ways to outsource your stuff. I highly believe in consulting at the beginning, especially in the first year to a year and a half of your advertising agency before you bring on a full-time staff member, because it leaves you in a place where you're not going to be as vulnerable to things like being overstretched and having finances that you have to pay a salary, and maybe 3 clients at once gave you notice that they're leaving. So it's just a little bit more stressful and easy to do. Overall, I hope this video has been helpful, and I would love to hear from you with questions, comments in the video below. And I can't wait to come back at you next week with more trainings on all the fun stuff we chat about. All right, have an awesome day.